What you have to say is important. And this is in keeping with KABF's mission to remain the voice of the people. It could be you hungry. It could be you homeless. Or as we're going to be talking about today, it could be you who is faced with some really, really high energy bills. And you're wondering how you can make things go a little further. A lot of us are on limited incomes. I know I am. And anything that's going to save me money, where I can continue to pay the bills and maybe by the end of the month have at least a little left over. Well, it's important that we all remain wide open, ears as well as minds, to what people have to say. And if the people who have something to say have the research to back it up, if they have a working model, something going on somewhere, let's say right here in the state of Arkansas, that works, shouldn't people in the rest of the state know about it and take full advantage of the information that they will be getting? That's the hope, not only of yours truly, but of the guests that are on the program for today. Now, the folks at Citizens Climate Lobby, sometimes they mesh together with Citizens Climate League, are on a semi-regular basis on It Could Be You. Well, today, and I think this is going to be maybe a little bit more the league working in conjunction with the guests that I've got, but we're going to be talking about a couple of efforts, a couple of organizations that are out there, primarily in one part of the state of Arkansas, but they're going to be serving as a model. What they're doing can serve as a model for other similar organizations to take full advantage of, to help people get through this weather that we're having. Not only the blistering hot summers, but also the, shall we say, the cold that comes along, say along about December, January, February and all. I am going to ask, are my guests with me?
Yes, sir, John.
All right. Well, Mr. Herbie McGill, I know that you just answered, so I'm just going to arbitrarily force you to go first. Introduce yourself and tell them a little bit about what you're doing.
Well, my name is Herbie McGill. I'm the director at the Elizabeth McGill Center, located in 521 North 6th Street in Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Uh-huh.
And what we are, we're a community center, more like a resource center. We make available information to families in our area. Mm-hmm. And we also provide assistance for food, and we also provide assistance for mentoring children.
All right. And I know there's another guest waiting in the telephone wings, as they say, and this guest has graced It Could Be You with her presence before. But I'm drawing a blank right now. Just who the heck are you?
Well, thank you, John. And so my name is Paulette, Meikle, and I'm Associate Dean and Professor of Sociology here at USS. But in this context, I'm representing the Arkansas Citizens Climate League as a board member. And I've been working with them for a number of years now. They're doing wonderful work in terms of environmental justice, energy justice, and a number of other issues that pertain to advocacy for underrepresented groups in this region.
All right. Now, suppose someone, and Dr. Meikle, let me start with you. Suppose someone wants to get in touch with you, or say with the League, and they want to find out more about what you're doing, as you said, with energy justice. How can they best get in touch with you?
Absolutely. And so I can give the number on air. It's 479-462-8834. They can speak with the administrator for the league, Robert McAfee, or they can email Robert at info@arkccl.org.
Would you please repeat both the telephone number and that email address, please?
That would be my pleasure. So the number is 479-62-8834, and the email info@arkccl.org.
Would there be a particular helpful website that the listeners could turn to as well?
Yes, of course. And so, since I work at the university and I'm working in this particular green energy project that we're working on, I'd like to give the UAFS website, which is www.uafs.edu, or they can also go to the ArcCCL website as well.
Okay. Okay, and
Which is arccl.org.
gotcha. And Mr. McGill, what's going to be some really good contact information to pass on to the listeners?
Well, our information, my personal number is 479-434-7332.
Again with the number, please.
479-434-7332. And my email address is herbiemcgill@gmail.com.
Once again with the email address, please.
Once again, Herbie McGill, HERBIE, McGill, McGill, @gmail.com.
Gotcha. Okay, now, I know that what y'all are doing is really, really necessary for a lot of people. And there could be some listeners out there, maybe, if not, say, in the Fort Smith area, maybe in other parts of the state, and they'd like to try to help. So what is the status, as far as the two of you are concerned, what's the status of people volunteering to help with either or both of your organizations?
Well, the McGill Center, we accept all volunteers. Right now, we have many of our volunteers from the Comprehensive Juvenile Services. Those are the youth that have gotten in trouble through the court. And so we help them fulfill their community service hours here at the McGill Center.
Gotcha.
We also allow for Western Arkansas Guidance Development. Those are people that have issues, mental issues that are also allowed to do community service hours here.
Gotcha.
What we try to do is provide a place for them to not only come and work, but a place for them to be able to enjoy and understand that this place is actually for them. Even though they're a member of the court, doesn't mean they're not a member of our society. And so we continue to try to make them feel welcome.
Okay, and Dr. Meikle, and again, if I destroy that last name, please correct me.
Perfect. And so for the ArcCCL, we are interested in really engendering a movement among young people for environmental justice, climate justice, energy justice. So we want them to contact Robert McGill about how they can serve. They can serve through the local chapter of the CCL, or they can serve directly with the lead, just to work with us on maybe collecting and analyzing data, being part of the CCL to bring further understanding and advocacy.
Would there be any other skill sets that you would be needing at this time?
Oh, well, we want, first of all, an active mind, a mind that is thinking about the future, the welfare of our citizens in the future. We want people who think altruistically, think about their communities. We want people who are just burning to connect with those who are less fortunate, but they don't know how. So this is an avenue for them.
Now, there could be some folks who say, well, they're doing all this work in Fort Smith, and that's too far for me to come. What about donations for either or both of your organizations? Are donations, I would say both cash donations and non-cash donations, are they welcome?
Absolutely. I mean, certainly from the RCCL point of view, they log onto that website, click on those donate buttons, and guess what? They can make their contributions right there. And
if it's a cash donation, is it tax exempt, 501c3 status and all?
Absolutely.
Gotcha. And Mr. McGill, what about for your organization? Are donations, cash as well as non-cash donations, are they welcome?
Yes, sir. All donations are welcome. We are a 501c3, so all donations are tax exempt.
Now, in particular, right now, with what you all are trying to work with the league about, are there any other allied or partner groups that you'd like to recognize, that you'd like to give a shout out to at this time?
Yes, and even though I mentioned I work at UAFS, I want to be specific about the collaborators here at the university. First, I want to talk about the Center for Economic Development in the Baker District at 72 South Street. And Kendall Ross is the director there, and he's been very, very active and engaged with helping us out with the Green Energy Project that we're going to be talking about later on. I also want to give a shout out to the College of Business and Industry for their collaborative efforts with that, and of course to the College of Arts and Sciences, USS.
And how about as far as the McGill Center is concerned? Any partner groups, any allies that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yes, we want to give a shout out to some of our community partners. Lincoln Youth Center, also Portsmouth Boys and Girls Club, the Portsmouth School System, and the Portsmouth Roundtable.
Okay.
All those assist us in making it possible to help all the people that we can.
All right. Now, once again, in just kind of focusing on the work that y'all are doing as far as, say, weather efficiency, weather is concerned. And I know we're going to be talking about a couple of really, really special, a couple of really important events in just a moment. But for either of your organizations, are there any, like, say, other upcoming events, like a meet and greet, where someone could come and say, okay, Mr. McGill, I've been wanting to meet you. I'd like to see what's going on. I'd like to learn more about what you're doing. So like a meet and greet, or if there's like a conference or a seminar. And I'm talking about other than what we're going to be talking about in just a moment.
Yes, sir. Actually, every third Friday, we feed our seniors. Give out groceries and the frozen and packed dry goods. And during those times, we have speakers that teach about everyday occurrences. Right now, we have a lot of political figures that come and speak to the things trying to garner their votes. But usually it's just we have different people come in. For example, we have the nursing homes come in and talk about what happens when you transition from home to nursing home. Those are usually topics that most of the seniors would like to talk about.
Well, speaking as a senior citizen, and always with an eye towards having a better life and having money in my pocket at the end of the month. Oh yeah. And how about as far as University at Fort Smith is concerned? Any other, say, events or any meet and greets that are planned for the not too distant future?
Oh, okay. So I'm going to remain specific to what we do at the Climate League.
Okay, well then let's just jump into that then. Now,
the Green Energy and Education Workshop is coming up in October, 20th, to be specific.
Okay. Now, there were in looking over some of the information that you sent me, and in helping get all of us prepped for today's program, you had a couple of terms, and let's get to the basics. Maybe just explain, or if you prefer, define what these two terms are, and maybe give some examples that pretty well anybody here in Arkansas could relate to. The first is energy insecurity, and the second is energy justice. What exactly do you mean by both of those terms, please?
Thank you, John, for asking that. That's so imperative that we understand these terms. So when we talk about energy insecurity, we're talking about the inability of a household, of a family, to meet its basic energy needs.
So,
and it's also known, you may have heard the term synonymous, energy poverty or hero poverty. Or Yeah, it's the same thing. And so let's drill down a little bit more. So energy insecurity really means that a family is unable to pay for an energy bill, or they've received a utility disconnection notice, or they've actually had actual disconnection from their electricity or any other bills that they have on a monthly basis.
And some of the farmers, I've heard some reports on local television and other broadcast outlets that there are more than a few farmers right here in the state of Arkansas, given the high cost of gasoline, of diesel, okay, that they're having trouble getting enough fuel for their machinery, their tractors, their harvesters, all like that. And it's going to really cut into their livelihood.
Absolutely. And with these low-income families, why we are so worried, because they're at risk. if you're paying more than 10% of your income on energy bills, then you know you're in the red. And some of these households, from the national data, I don't have data particularly for Arkansas, they could pay anywhere between 20 to 35% of their actual income for energy bills. So we know that's a huge risk there for their overall welfare.
I could probably fit into that category, thinking about the three main utilities I have to pay each month, and I'm talking electricity, I'm talking gas, I'm talking water. Before coming to the studio, I had to pay my electric bill for the month, and I couldn't help but in my own mind's thinking, ouch, okay?
Yes.
And also something else, and I was very, very surprised when I first saw this, but I started to think about it. And, well, that the situation where people are having trouble with their utility bills, much to my initial surprise, is that it also potentially or in real life does take a toll on a person or a family's health.
Absolutely, John.
How so?
When
How so?
you find families who are energy insecure, that also intersects with food insecurity, hospitalization, poor health ratings, and even developmental concerns.
And, oh yes, yeah, kids in school. Yeah, kids underperforming in school, for sure, yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
But John, I was also going to say, you talked about insecurity. We're talking about able bodies. There's a lot of disabled bodies out there as well, and they're having even a harder.
People who are on a fixed income, yes, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, me, for example, I just got over a major surgery, and I've been disabled since July 28th of 2020. And so I can relate to what it means to have to penny pinch, because when you have medical bills and doctor bills, that takes away from your income. Especially when you're disabled, you don't have any income.
I could fit right into that category. Now, fortunately, I'm close to it, but as of yet have not crossed the line, for example, to get to the point where I have to pay, if I was a renter and I was for a number of years, pay the rent, or say pay the utilities, or am I going to get the rest of my income, am I going to apply it to groceries? Am I going to apply it to prescriptions, something else? Okay, so yeah, it's really a shock to a lot of people, and if it's not a shock to some folks, well, maybe it should be, and it maybe should be a kind of a wake-up call that people who are having to pick and choose what necessities, I'm not talking luxuries, I'm not talking like going down, say, to like out to a movie or anything like that. I'm talking about home, I'm talking about paying the utility bills, all like that. So this is going to be a wake-up call, and it's my understanding that there's this program coming up, I'm going to just call it the 2022 Green Energy and Education Workshop. I understand that is really going to be a very hard look, a very serious effort to try to get more people aware of this energy insecurity, as well as pathways to energy justice. Dr. Meikle, okay, how about starting us out on this?
Absolutely. And so you mentioned energy justice, but what exactly is that? And this provides the impetus for the upcoming workshop. So Shalonda Baker, who is the Deputy Director of Energy Justice at the United States Department of Energy, argues that energy justice focuses on the ways in which communities should have a say in shaping their energy futures, as well as ensuring that there are policies that will address the inequitable impacts of this energy transition that we are in the process of doing. Moving from to more green energy.
Okay. Now, what do you mean? What do you mean by communities? Are you talking about everybody, say, in a particular town, regardless of status, income, social background? Everybody. Is that what you mean by community?
Yes. You raised a good point. It's everybody, but in this particular workshop and what we're trying to do at the league and at the university, we're focused on low-income communities that they must be included in the transition away from fossil fuels to more clean energy.
Now, in talking with a number of different groups advocating social justice, advocating criminal justice, one point that they share is that people who are adversely affected by poverty, who are adversely affected by having a loved one incarcerated, who are badly adversely affected by something, they must have a seat at the table in order to bring realism, in order to bring and say, okay, been there, done that, or no, it's ongoing, I am there, I'm still having to do that. So is this something, again, say maybe a reference to the community, that must be there and be a full-fledged part of the discussion?
Absolutely, and so that is the underlying philosophy of green energy or energy justice. So equity should indeed drive policy. The idea is to empower marginalized people, marginalized communities to, as you say, have a seat at the table. So, well, how do we do that? We know that they're not going to show up at some important meeting that we're not being invited to. So it's our job to go out there and find these low-income families who are disproportionately affected by energy poverty. And in fact, 44% of low-income households experience energy insecurity in comparison to 2% who are not low-income families. So we know the data exists out there. So what we want to do at the League and at the university, and certainly working in collaboration with the McGill Center, and by the way, I must say how tremendously thrilled we are to be partnering with the McGill Center, because they're really where the problems are unfolding. They understand it much better than we do with matter of death in our offices. And so what we hope to do is to collect data and nuanced narratives based on the lived experiences of low-income families and their households, and to get the needs to matter. Especially when I was at the McGill Center recently, and Mr. McGill, you can back me up in this.
Please, yes.
There was a lady who was so articulate about why she had to leave. She's a renter. Why she had to leave the home she previously rented because of a high energy bill. She just could not afford it anymore, and that is because energy was escaping, and we're going to talk about weatherization later on, John. And what she needed to do, she just could not cope with the high energy bill, so she had to leave that home and find someone else. And from my point of view, research shows that that is the main reason why low-income families may hop from one apartment to the next. To make it because of the energy efficiency issue. Mr.
McGill, before we go to break, is there anything you'd like to add to what we've been talking about for the last couple of minutes?
And like Dr. McGill said, they collect the data, and we try to share the information that they collected, because I think education is the most important, is a key component to
absolutely
into clean energy. A lot of times there's so much disinformation out there, and so much information they have to wade through before they can get to the meat and bones of the whole situation. So we're able to cut to the chase, give them real good information regarding energy assistance.
Well, I'm going to have to break in right now because I've got to cut to the chase due to the requirements of the powers that be. We're at the bottom of the hour already, and we just barely scratched the surface. But the powers that be insist that about at this time I share some information with the listeners, so I'm going to do that right now. And just hang in there. We're going to be back very, very shortly. Got a lot more information to share with the listeners for this week. And you're listening to this week's It Could Be You. I'm your host, John S. And hang in there. I'm going to be back with you in just a little bit. Really good information. There may have been some folks out there who tuned in a few minutes late. So first of all, I think my two guests are still with me. And if they are, I am just now going to beg, demand, threaten, plead, however you want to describe it, reintroduce yourselves and give contact information for your organizations. Who's going to go first this time?
I think I'll go first, and so my name is Paulette Meikle, and I'm Associate Dean and Professor of Sociology here at the UAFS, and also I'm a board member of the Arkansas Citizens Climate League.
And how can they get in touch with you to find out everything about what the League is doing and about this particular event that's going to be coming up?
Yes, and so they certainly can contact Robert McAfee. The number for him is 479-462-8834, or they may email at info@arcccl.org. And I think you want me to repeat that.
Please.
Let me go a little bit slower this time. 479-462-8834. And the email address is info@arcccl.org.
And Mr. McGill, I think you said, I'm just making sure that I am talking to Mr. McGill once again.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's my feeble effort at kind of messing with your head today. What's some good contact information for the McGill Center and/or for you directly?
Well, my name is Herbie McGill, and I'm the director of the Elizabeth McGill Drop-In Center. We're located at 521 North 6th Street. That's in Fort Smith, Arkansas. And my email address is herbiemcgill@gmail.com. Let me repeat that. herbiemcgill@gmail.com. And we're a nonprofit. We've been around since 1961, and our main purpose is social service.
You mentioned the phone number earlier. How about repeating that number, please?
Okay, yeah, sure. Our phone number is 479-434-7332.
Okay, all right. Now, we had to take the break when just getting started talking about this Green Energy and Education Workshop. Let's share some basic information about what it's all about. Now, first of all, when is it going to be held? Not just the dates, but what's the starting time, what's the ending time for this symposium, for this conference?
Excellent. So I'd be glad to jump with that, John. And so, yes, it's going to be October 20th, and it's imperative that I probably repeat the name of the workshop. So it's the River Valley Green Energy and Education Workshop, and it starts at 8 a.m. and should conclude around 4:30 p.m.
All right.
And yes, sir. And it's an important event in that as we try to grapple with how can we address energy insecurity in the River Valley area. And I built a program working with my colleagues. It's going to be a 3-year program, and it's an extensive program with several different components. So before we get to that long-term program, what we decided was to create this space and place where all stakeholders can come together and discuss and disseminate information on green energy issues and their application for the River Valley.
Okay,
and of course, to promote the development of and use of green energy in the River Valley area. And we, as you know, one of our primary missions is energy justice. So we talk about energy justice. We want to make sure that we focus on low-income families. How can they participate practically? How can we educate them? And how can we establish infrastructure, green energy infrastructure, whether it's solar, and in this case solar, or wind energy infrastructure, and then to create this network of persons who are focused on renewable energy.
Gotcha. Now, before going any further, let's get some additional basic information out. For example, where is this going to be held? Where is this?
Thank you for reminding me to say that. It's going to be at the University USS Center for Economic Development, and that's going to be in the Baker District. It's an up-and-coming area that the university has a property there, which is amazing. It's downtown Fort Smith, and the actual street number is 70 South Street. It's Suite D, but the Baker District is the name for that. It's if you Google that, you should be able to find the Center for Economic Development at UAFS.
Now, are there any fees for anyone who wants to attend this particular?
Yes. Yes, $15 per participant. However, the league is offering 30 scholarships to persons who want to come, and I think that's going to be administered in collaboration with the McGill Center. So they're going to be 30 scholarships for registration. And in fact, it's going to be so powerful because not only will we have a keynote address and breakout sessions to delve deeper into the whole issue of weatherization, renewable energy, and so on. We'll have panel discussions, and our primary target groups are, one of the things that we do at the League, we make sure that we're equitable in the way that we are not only dissecting knowledge, but disseminating knowledge and collecting and analyzing data. So we want to focus on several different groups. We want to have academics, of course. We want to have members of the community, and that's why the help us with that. And we also want to have academicians. We want to have people from the Chamber of Commerce, the corporate world, and in fact, since we sent the save the date out, we've had some good responses from those who are in the corporate world.
Okay, now, before going any further, let's make it very, very plain that people who want to attend this particular event, and they're not, like, say, in the Fort Smith, Van Buren, Fayetteville area, they are very welcome to attend. Am I correct on that?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And is there, well, okay, now suppose someone finds out, like maybe the day before the conference gets started. Can they just show up there, or is it necessary for everyone who's going to attend to register? And if they have to register, is there kind of like a deadline?
Excellent question. So we have not sent out a registration link yet. There's going to be a website where they can go to register. We're going to do that in August sometime. And we have a set number of 120 participants. So first come, first serve.
Okay.
So they may not be able to just show up the day of the workshop and to get a seat in a place.
Now, and registering, now that would be not only for, say, low-income participants, but that could include, like, say, people who represent, like, green energy concerns here in Arkansas. Looking over some of the information that you plan, you hope to have, like, some display booths set up. To talk about green energy, to talk about sustainable energy. Now, is this something that these groups will have to register for as well?
Good question again, John. So they'll have to apply for, because we won't have many booths space, so they will have to apply for that. So yes, there are about 3 different or 4 different areas. If you are in Weather Horizon, if you're in the Weather Horizon sector, yes, we want to have you set up a booth there. If you're into green energy of any sort, yes, you can apply and get admitted in. And solar, there's going to be a solar trailer there. One of our colleagues has already secured that. And then sustainable energy. So those booths are zeroing down specifically on the practical elements of green energy.
Gotcha. Now, will these particular conferences, the particular talks on this day, and maybe the breakout sessions, are there any plans, like, say, to video record them and have them available, certainly to people in other parts of the state, or maybe some people who would like to use what you're doing as a model to maybe set up a similar conference, say, in the Delta, or maybe down around Texarkana or something like that?
Well, you're now giving us additional ideas to really consider doing that, tape recording, so that we can disseminate in that way electronically. And I'll certainly talk to the planning committee about this, if that's feasible. And definitely, we are willing and ready to work with any group anywhere else in the state of Arkansas to replicate this workshop, to make sure we're spreading more and more education about green energy, what it is, and why it's important.
Mr. McGill, let me throw this at you first. From your point of view, from your experience, who needs to attend this particular conference?
I think this conference should be very diverse. One particular group can't solve the whole issue without the other group. Other groups, we're trying to help low to moderate income families. So they are the ones that's going to be able to let us know what the issues are. It's just so many times people create programs without knowing the issues, and then when they create these programs, they have to recreate more programs in order to really root out the issues. And so by listening to the constituents that we're trying to help, I think that's going to assist us better in trying to secure some of the energy insecurities.
And this would include getting people involved, say, all the way, say, from grade school students to retirees, just more than, say, one generation. Am I correct on that?
Yes. Matter of fact, what we do is, through our Fort Smith Roundtable, we mentor 100 kids a week in 4 different elementary schools. And we actually talk about energy assistance and green energy, because that's the wave of the future, and we want to prepare them with information so they'll have a better understanding of what's to come.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe that they're catching on a little bit faster than the adults.
Okay. Now, again, Mr. McGill, I'd like for you to start off, and then Dr. Meikle, jump in, please.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, you want to not only have people there, but you want to collect what could be called stories, anecdotal information, data, if you prefer, from all interested, from all concerned families or groups, and preferably from all over Arkansas. To that way, that you can get an even stronger idea as to maybe what should be tackled first. The problem, the issue. Even if it's no more to say than to help shape or guide you in any research or planning. And so what are there any particular stories? And Mr. McGill, you're first. Are there any particular stories that you're really kind of keeping an eye and an ear open to collect and to share at this conference?
Well, I think renters are the most vulnerable on it. We have to really listen to renters because their hands are tied when it comes to weatherization of their homes.
Arkansas being the one state, let me remind everybody, that does not, aside from a few locations, have what's called renters' rights or even a warrant of habitability.
Right, and those tenants, their hands are tied when it comes to repairs of the home.
Mm-hmm.
What we're seeing a lot of times is that the homes that they're in are they have a lot of energy insecurities. We'll just leave it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not only are they insecure as far as energy, but the weatherization is being sent right through the roofs and through the floors, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And so. I think the most important part of this whole deal is being able to listen not only to the low to moderate income families who own homes, but also those who are renting homes.
Gotcha.
I think that will be definitely something that I'll be interested in listening to.
And Doctor, how would you like to add to that?
Okay, yes, and so weatherization is perhaps a rather important component of preserving the quality of life for future generations. So we want to think through how can we educate people on weatherization. First of all, what is it? And simply, it's making the home more energy efficient. And why do we want to do that? So weatherizing, first, is economic source. You can save money by saving energy. You can improve the comfort of your home. You can save the planet. You can add value to the home. And so people are probably wondering, what do we mean by weatherizing? So we want to make sure, we look at the ventilation, make sure there's good air sealing, insulation, moisture control, and making sure there are no leakages through windows and doors, etc.
Okay, well, if I might jump in, I'm Exhibit A when it comes to that. I rented an apartment here in Central Arkansas for 20 plus years, and I had to experience the roller coastering that some months my utility bills were just going to be whoa, and others I would go, oh, thank heavens, not nearly as much. Well, after 20 plus years, I had to move, in part because I never could really get the management to take a good long-term approach. Okay, and I found out that where I used to live, that insulation was not all that good, among other things. But I did find a place to live, and a few months ago, I did contact one of the local groups here in Central Arkansas, and I did have my home weatherized. They checked to make sure there were no leaks around the windows. They did find a huge leak that was just allowing energy to go straight up through the attic and then through the roof. They found that some of the connections for my gas, and in one case even my water, were not all that good, so they connected them. They alerted me to a carbon monoxide buildup that I was having in my attic. They came in, they replaced the insulation. They found and plugged that leak. They told me a whole lot of things, and even installed multiple fire detector smoke alarms and at least one carbon monoxide detector. So these were done, and I can testify. I'm Exhibit A. I have already been seeing a marked difference when it comes to 2 of the 3 utility bills that I have to deal with. And I'm talking gas and electricity. Yes, weatherization, particularly for homeowners, and particularly if any renter out there can get it done, get it done.
Yes. Yes, it's very well said, John. And one last thing to add to that. So if you own a rental house that's 10 years or more old, then you want to encourage an energy audit. And whatever the findings are, then you make sure that if it's insulation that's necessary, like in your case, after the energy audit.
Well, that's what I had done first, to find out if my home needed weatherization. Yeah. So they came out, they did that, and oh yeah, they said yes. And fortunately, there are programs out there to help people who are senior citizens, who are disabled, who are low income. Yes, they can and will help with weatherization of your home.
Yeah. Could you give us an idea on how much it saved you?
I have probably saved, very definitely, I would have to go on and say I've probably saved enough to where it's in like the middle 3 digits over the last several months, that it's been several $100s I've been able to save.
Wow.
And that's just over a couple of months.
And Mr. McGill, there was something I know that in talking with you a few days ago, that in keeping with this, that there's something that you're really trying to advocate for in your area, and that is trying to get more solar panels set up.
Yes, sir. Definitely. We believe some of the energy insecurity could be counterbalanced by solar panels. Being able to put some solar panels in the field. Me and Mr. Robert McCaffrey, we talked about possibly doing a solar farm type in the area, using the community garden area as a possible solar farm. And we also talked about possibly putting solar panels on top of our schools, like Batesville did in eastern Arkansas. And so we have a lot of opportunity here right now in order to become more energy efficient. And what we're trying to do at the McGill Center is be an example for that. There's no better way to tell somebody than to show somebody how it's done. And so we want to be a model for our community, to give them an idea on what we saved. And so we want to show them and let them know the benefits of having this renewable and different types of energy.
Yeah, starting with better health, I should say, and saving the average Arkansas consumer at least some money, if not in the short run, then certainly in the long run. And so again, am I correct in saying, let's reinforce this, am I correct in saying that what both of you and your organizations are doing, and particularly with the involvement in this upcoming Green Energy and Education's workshop, that you are offering yourselves, you're offering your work as a practical model for groups in other parts of the state to say, okay, I see this, I'd like to learn more. I'd like to find out if what you're doing could be adapted to my particular conditions. Like say, for example, a real area of real need, and I'm talking the Arkansas Delta.
Yes. I'm glad you've asked that question, because once we've done this workshop, we are really excited to see how we can partner with others in the Delta, for example, to assist them in creating and implementing similar workshops. And if they want to know how to do that, they can contact myself or contact Robert McAfee about this, or any of our collaborators in McGill Center.
Well,
we want to spread the word And we believe that it's critical that we immerse ourselves in low-income neighborhoods to help them understand energy insecurity, what it is, and how we can address it.
Well, how about since we've only got a couple of minutes left, how about both of you once again giving that contact information? Say at the very least the phone numbers and the email addresses.
Yes.
Okay. Like I said before, my name is Herbie McGill. I'm with the Elizabeth McGill Drop-In Center. We're located at 521 North 6th Street in Fort Smith, Arkansas. My number is 479-434-7332.
Again, please.
My email address is Herbie McGill, Herbie McGill, McGill, @gmail.com.
One more time, for at least the telephone number, please.
Telephone number 479-434-7332.
And
the email number is herbiemcgill@gmail.com.
Okay, and how about another contact? Dr. Meikle?
Yes, certainly. And for the league's contact information, the number is 479-462-8834.
Again, please.
And the email address,
Again, please.
that's 479-462-8834. And the email address, info@arkccl.org. So let me repeat that. It's info@arkccl.org. I also want to include the Center for Business and Economic Development at the Baker District here. It's 479-424-5140. So it's the Center for Economic Development.
Okay.
479-424-5140.
Okay, now we've got just a very small amount of time left. Dr. Meikle, you first. If there was, and very quickly, if there was one additional thing that you want the people to know either about this conference or the work that you're doing, very quickly, what would that be?
Oh, wow. We want to promote green energy communities starting at home. We want to see a newest understanding of the dynamics between local communities and energy transition and how the university can help. We want to have a better understanding of the role of citizens' initiatives in transitioning towards sustainable energy systems.
Okay. And Herbie McGill, if you have one more thing to add about what you're doing in this context, what would it be? What do you want people to know about?
Well, we want to empower the citizens with information. We want them to be able to better understand the ability to transition into the next energy program. We believe in that's going to be our part in making this energy thing better.
Fair enough.
So not only do we want to educate, but we also want to be a model for the transition.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it at that because we're out of time, and I want to thank both of you for being part of this week's, a big part of this week's It Could Be You. And yes, I'm going to try to get one or both of you to come back maybe a little bit later on in the year and give us some updates. But many, many thanks for being on today's program. And I'll be talking to you later. Bye for now.
Thank you, John.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.